Today, we are going to be starting the printmaking process for our pop art cow. The first step is to choose a color for your 12 by 12 piece of paper and write your name on the back. Then flip it over. You are going to choose one color to use today on your cow. Make sure all your lines have been carved deep enough you have your arrow and your name on the back. I'm going to get a scrap piece of paper to place my foam stamp on top of. I have my Baren and my brayer all set up. Again, you only get one color today. Roll the brayer in the ink and then apply the ink to your stamp. Roll it evenly across your stamp. Try to keep your stamp on your scrap piece of paper so that way it does not get on the table. Carefully pick up your stamp and make sure the arrow is facing the middle of the paper. So the arrow should be touching the center of your paper. Line it up in the corner, place it down carefully, and then use the Baren to gently press across the entire stamp. Use the Baren so your fingers don't get messy. And you get a nice even press on your stamp. Get those corners. Now every single time you stamp your cow, it's going to turn out different. It will not be the same every single time. Sometimes the ink will show up more or less in each spot. But every single time it should look good. Now I'm going to do the second stamp. You're going to stamp the cow 4 times onto your square 12 by 12 paper. I am going to apply more ink to my foam stamp, and I am going to carefully flip it over up. Make sure that arrow is turned towards the center, so it's touching the center of your paper. Carefully press it down. Hold it. Don't let it move once it touches the paper, because then your picture will blur. Once you place your foam stamp onto your paper, do not let it move around on you. That looks good. Now this time it might look a little bit different than the last one. It's still going to be the same picture. It's just the color might look a little different. Take your time. Make sure you press all the corners. Carefully peel it up. That looks good. Now I'm going to turn my paper around. I'm going to flip it around so I can get to those other 2 sides. And I'm going to roll my brayer in the ink to get more ink onto my brayer so I can put more ink onto my stamp. Now make sure you're putting the ink on the side of the stamp that has the picture of the cow on it. It's not going to work if you put the ink on the back of the stamp. The ink has to go on the side with the cow carved into it. If your lines aren't showing up, it could be because you didn't carve them deep enough. We're not going to be able to fix that now, but we can fix it next week when we do the second layer of color. Oh, make sure you turn that arrow. Make sure you're holding it carefully. Your fingers might get a little messy, but that's going to be okay. So the arrow is touching the center of your paper, and then carefully press it down. Use your Baren to press your picture down onto your paper. I'm going to go ahead and stamp my picture the 4th time, making sure that arrow is in the middle, pressing down with the Baren, and then carefully peeling up your foam stamp. Now for cleanup, we have a lot of steps to do. First, your picture goes on the drying rack, carried carefully with 2 hands. Then you're going to take your foam stamp and wash it in the sink. Wash it off in the sink. The scrap paper, don't throw it away. I have a recycle box for those because we can use them again. The Baren and the brayer stay on the table for someone else to use. After you wash your foam stamp, put it on the drying rack.